So my goal for this weekend is I'm in one of the areas of the cabin that I haven't really utilized that much, but my kids really love it. And that is one of the lofts. We have two lofts here. I'm going to start with this loft first. And you can tell we haven't done anything with this at all since the build other than we put the ceiling in. And what I would like to do today is I'm going to go ahead and start cutting the tongue and groove boards that we have for the exterior wall there. You can see that it's already been insulated. We had everything insulated as the cabin was being built. And I think it's going to turn out to be pretty nice. It's warm up here. The kids love it because it's cozy. It's shallow. For adults, it's a little bit of a tight living area. You know, you could get away with having your sleeping quarters up here. But at my age, I'm done doing ladders, so I leave this area to the kids. And I think I put it off long enough. The reason I have waited so long to finish this part of the cabin is they've got a green treated header that runs over the door and everything on the back wall here. And I wanted that to dry out. So we've had the cabin now for a year and a half. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, every time I check the humidity levels in here, right now I'm down to about 40% humidity. That's dry enough that I think we can go ahead and finish encasing that wall and getting all the tongue and groove back on. So stick with me this week. That's going to be our project here at the cabin. Hopefully we can get at least one side done. If we can get two sides, that'll be great. And obviously, because of it being 11 below zero, my compressor isn't working. So if I can just get that wood cut, temporarily set it in place to make sure that it's all fitting properly, then in the future, I can easily just come up here with a nail gun, and in an hour or two, I'll have this whole thing done. So, all right, I'm going to go out to the garage and brave the elements and see if we can't get some wood in here in my compound miter saw, and we'll see what we can do about getting our wood to fit here in the cabin. Last week in the comments section, a lot of people participated, and I appreciate all the different comments and ideas that you guys give me. Not an expert by any means, so my main goal is for us to grow as a community. And we were talking about whether or not the styrofoam box I made for the battery last week would actually work or not. When I came up to the cabin last week in the morning, our battery read 12.2 volts, which is a dangerous number, and that's because I was told by Renogy anything under 12.2 volts in freezing weather can freeze. So we made a styrofoam box to go around the battery, and today you can see we're at 13.1 volts, and it is negative 11. That's Fahrenheit, so it's 11 below zero Fahrenheit. That's a huge improvement. So the styrofoam box is not a bust. It actually worked. I had my doubts. I thought maybe we'd have to put a light bulb or something in there to keep it warm, but the box by itself, so far, knock on wood, has been working. So as you can see, that insulation is working quite well for us. I coincidentally just got an email from a member of our community, Tony. You know who you are. Thank you so much for your help. He sent me a link to a video where if any of you guys are using lithium batteries or even some of the AGM batteries where you're worrying about freezing, this video explains a heating device that you can use to keep your batteries from freezing. The knowledge that is within this video is the most valuable knowledge I can pass on. Tony, thank you so much for passing on to me. I will put a link to that video in this video's description. Make sure you check it out. I guarantee it'll help your problems. Sorry for the bad lighting in the filming, but I'm doing this on my own today. So what I'm basically doing is, you can see we've got this funky angle that continues on through the loft. And for me, I'm not a carpenter by trade, and it's always a pain in the butt to be able to figure out those angles. So what I basically did is I just went and got aluminum T-level, and I'm using the T-level to give me my angles. Once we figure out the right angle that we need here, I just go ahead, lock the T-level in, and then when I go down to my compound miter saw, I can go ahead and continue that angle on. You can see I got my first couple pieces of board I already had cut, and then what I found to make the process go a little bit quicker so that I don't have to keep climbing the ladder and taking measurements and everything like that. Once you get this measurement, this angle right, I'm just transferring a tiny line onto the next board, so right away I know where I have to cut with my next angle. I just line up the line that the Milwaukee miter saw projects down onto the board and just make the cut with the appropriate angle right off there. It's actually pretty simple. So here we go. I go ahead, place the board down, and I hit my little trigger, and the camera probably won't pick it up, but it is projecting a shadow down exactly where the cut will go on this board, and it's as simple as just going ahead and making the cut now. There we go. New board is cut, and when I put the two boards together, you can see that that angle is going to be right there. It matches perfect. Perfect. After doing a couple of 2 or 3 cuts there, hey, I started to realize there's a pretty consistent pattern that's going on here. You can tell there's a step down about every 2 inches. And so I measured it out, and sure enough, it was every 2 inches. We figured out we just needed to have another board cut. So I set the saw up outside and was able to quicken the time that it took me to cut all these boards just simply by keeping the same angle on them, and then every 2 inches I cut a board longer. And I think I've got enough to go upstairs now, and let's at least put up this first half and we'll see how it looks. I've temporarily set the first half in place, and you can see it's falling in a little bit right back in here, but that's because I don't have anything nailed yet. And that looks pretty consistent. It looks like we got the right angle figured out. So we'll start cutting the other side, and I'll just simply reverse the angle so that when we start putting it in on this half of the cabin, everything should line up. I'm having burgers for lunch. We're keeping it simple today. Squirt, Doritos, and burgers. Life is good. All right, folks, you can see I just went ahead and temporarily set everything in place. It's loose. It's not nailed in. Obviously, it's way too cold outside to get my compressor to work. You can see some of the boards there in the corner are kind of falling in. I think the camera can pick up that view. But that's okay. This is just set here temporarily. I'm going to go ahead and bring the nailer up this spring and nail this side in. And since this cabin is built really close and equal on both sides, before I nail this in, I'm going to take it all apart in pieces, bring it over to the other side of the cabin and see if it fits in the other loft. And if it does, well, then that's going to be a cakewalk to do that side because I already have the pattern here. The only thing that I forgot to show you, and it was because I did it, while I was eating my lunch, in the corner here where we have that funky angle that goes down right there. To get that angle right, all that I did is I simply used a piece of cardboard, and I used that as a template. I cut it out with a pair of scissors and turned out perfect. And then when I had to do the other side of this loft, I just reversed that on a piece of wood, traced it out, and it came out pretty decent. So we're one step closer to having the lofts done. This is going to be probably about the hardest. The flooring in here, I think I can have the flooring done easily on both sides, probably in under a day. And then I think all we have left is trim work. I still have to make the casings for the windows, the framework for the door, and then I'd like to also add some trim work on the edges of the lofts where they enter the rest of the room. So yeah, we're doing all right. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Carl's Off the Grid. I appreciate your support, and we'll catch you on the next video.